Big smiles. Here we go. I can't believe it's Thursday already, April 4th. And I just wanted to say, welcome to Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. And into the second quarter of the year seems absolutely impossible.
Crazy.
And I know. And time just flies. And then it feels like it's Monday, it's Friday, it's Monday, it's Friday, it's Monday, it's Friday. It's so freaking fast. And I think if we don't pay attention, we don't stop for a minute, pay attention. So thank you for joining us just to stop and pay attention for a minute. We don't stop and do that, then we just get so spun out. So
when I left you that message this morning, and I was like, my brain is like locked up. I need a vacation. I need a mental reset.
Need some regrouping, which I got a chance to, I don't know, just a change of scenery. Isn't that so healing for the soul?
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be involved. I know you have a trip coming up, but it doesn't have to be so involved. Like just move and change up the scenery, change up your routines, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. We got our regular peeps.
Yeah.
So one thing, because I did take a change of scenery last weekend, I missed being able to hear your story. Remember we talked about story last week.
That's right.
Yeah. And so I ended up out of town instead of here, but tell us, how did it go and how was it? And did you post it anywhere yet?
This is part of the whole, like, I need a little time. It's ready to go.
You didn't do all the things yet?
I keep going, but it's ready to go. I just need to hit it live.
You're totally
well, part of it being ready to go is also giving me enough time that once I trigger it live, then I need to be able to grab it and go and post it around on all the sites. So you can, because you want to get that first hour, the first 24 hours, right? So I didn't want to just hit it live and then leave it there. And of course, I haven't had 2 seconds to sit down. It just feels like it's been a whirlwind, which is what I was telling you, that I kept listening to your, Dr. Eric and I communicate on our phones with Marco Polo. It's a video app. And I kept listening to her messages to me. And then I'd go to leave a message and then I'd like squirrel. And so was just friggin' crazy. So when we're done here, I'm going to trigger it live. So I this last week, but you'll see the video today. So watch out for it around 2:00, and it'll be the storytelling video for last week, National Speakers Association, the Michigan chapter had a storytelling competition, and I signed up for it to challenge myself. Because also this is, to me, that's like a crossword puzzle, right? Challenging my brain to craft a message in a way that's impactful. Then I have to memorize it. But then you can't just like memorize something and not emote it and, perform it. So then you have to perform it as if you didn't memorize it. So those are the challenges that I really love. And it was all about my mom and being raised on food stamps and not recognizing that I thought that meant we were poor, but I didn't know that. But also then the words that she used, we can't afford this. We're going to end up in the street, and how powerful words are, and the things that we say to not just our kids,
right,
other people, but also what the words we use
in our minds.
Right. So messages are very, very powerful. And I equated all these messages with an old set of luggage with stickers on it from all of our experiences, all our negative experiences, but that we have the power to change those messages, and we need to put positive messages over top of that. We can never get rid of our baggage, right? So it's always somewhere in us. It's what makes us grow. It's what makes us who we are. But what we do with that is the lesson. And I know you all know people, and you're like, oh man, that person's got some issues and they need to deal with it. And they're hard to be around.
Yeah.
And the people that you love being around are the people who have they don't have a perfect life and a perfect story. None of us do. So, but what have they done with that? Are they inspiring? Do they inspire you? Like Dr. Erica always inspires me to be a better person, a better chiropractor. And, I would just love being in her orbit. And again, like we could break down all the stuff that we've had in our lives. It's pretty ugly, I think, for the both of us, but we've grown beyond it. We've turned it around and made it into something pretty incredible. So, and Bill said he thinks I should have won. And so, Bill came and
good.
Yeah. So he was my moral support. It was great to have him there. So thank you, Bill. Yeah. So it was really a great lesson. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. So when you see it live, if you could please comment on it, hit the thumbs up and share it out. Cause I need to, launch that because also I'm going to turn it into a keynote where, just talking about mindset and growth and resilience. So that will be one of my keynote talks for corporations. So
that's so great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's only your first time with that group. So I can only imagine what's ahead.
I know yeah. So that's my story. So I want to know, because you said you got a chance to change scenery and reset this weekend. So, tell us a little bit about what that meant for you.
Yeah. So I did. One of the things that, and maybe you guys feel the same way and can resonate with this, is unless we change what's around us, we can often get in the same mindset patterns, like just the same patterning. And I did this work years ago called concept therapy, and it just talks about, a lot of times our subconscious is just playing tapes. It's just playing a tape that like you talked about, that you learned when you were young or whatever. And that if you can yell and scream at the tape player to change the tape, but you literally have to go in and take it out and replace it with another tape. And I know that that's what that story was all about. And that's really what a change of scenery does for me. And fortunately, I went to hang out with a friend that is also deeply connected with chiropractic, but also and we'll get him on this podcast at some point very soon. We have both of us, we have super strong intentions over the last couple of months to have guests on, but then we're running all a million miles an hour, all different kinds of directions. And so, but it's really nice to hang with people that are similar mindset. And then, so we eat well and move our bodies and think well and just have a good time. And one of the biggest things about being an entrepreneur is slowing it all down and setting it all aside. And that is very challenging for me. And over the years of owning this humongous wellness center, it has been really, Kenny, you're so silly.
This is why we keep Kenny on to,
Yeah. It has been really hard to always get my nervous system to settle down when I'm out of town, because I used to have one of the tenants in the building used to be very antagonistic. And as soon as she would see me check in somewhere else, she would make an emergency back here in the building. That's not happening anymore. And so I can literally let my nervous system calm down. Of course, I had a 3.5-hour drive. I went over to Toronto and spent the weekend over there, but it was really lovely. And I felt so rejuvenated, even though Monday smacks me right in the face, new quarter, new week, new all the things. It was so great. And of course, he's a great adjuster. He's a chiropractor too. So a great adjuster. And I just had another chiropractor in right before I finished this morning shift. So I also just got adjusted. So I am really, really working with 1 to 2 times a week right now, which is such a blessing to be able to have that much chiropractic care as my personal and professional life are shifting. And my nervous system is figuring out what's next and all that. I can just settle because my nervous system is being taken care of. So that is what a change of scenery really does for me, is it takes the tape out of the normal rigmarole mindset of the mundane of life, not mundane in the bad way, but the monotony of our normal weeks, and shifts it up and revitalizes me. Plus, Toronto is cool energy. It's just got big city energy, lots of dynamic people and energy there. The country is open. They got really, really hammered away with their government during COVID, but it is up and running and awesome. And the dogs were able to go with me and get across the border and all the things. So yeah, it was really great.
That's a great getay.
It was a great getaway. So I'm always apologetic that I missed your story, but it was 3.5 days truly of R&R.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and really it's like, it's only like 3 or 4 hours away. And I mean, it's almost like you're in another country when you, oh wait, you were.
It's very Euro there though. You know what I mean? Like it feels so diverse, especially I always call Fenton, Michigan is where I'm at, where my practice is and where I live and where I grew up, even though I left for 10 years for school. Small town Whiteville, USA over here, up in here. And I really love what the mix of people bring to a location for food wise. And I'm gluten free and I'm fat driven. I'm like fat fueled and high protein. And it just the options around every corner for me it was really awesome. And then of course, just hanging with like a super, super awesome, superhero awesome guy and friend. And and chiropractor. So it's been great. So.
Yeah. Just to when you, again, you get in the orbit of people who fuel you, that's really, if you guys have relationships in your lives and, family could be, we could make the exception for family, but then you still just need to limit your time. But, really if you have relationships in your lives that are not fueling you, that's really, that is really what it's all about. And that, we don't have much time on this planet. And so why are you wasting it being around people who don't support you or whose energy doesn't match and then help you feel like you're just gonna, explode. So
right. Yeah. I mean, we definitely need expanders. And I talked about this at the holidays last year. It's like, just want to be around expanders and people that expand you and also make it safe for you to expand into a new version of yourself. So if that resonates with any of you guys, it doesn't mean you need to switch your whole entire existence, but look for things that fuel you in the days, maybe over the next week, and just say, that really fuels me, that doesn't fuel me. And then apply to, of course, who we're hanging with, what we're eating, how we're moving, how we're sleeping. Gosh, I slept terrible last night and I woke up just really kind of like sideways this morning and had to do a lot of things to resource myself for whatever reason. The dogs sleep with me. So Tater was up, like he would will come really close, and he's this little tiny 6-pound dog, but his cold nose will be like he wants to kiss me. So he like wakes me up kissing my lips. But it's just like, oh my God, Tater, seriously. Don't mind your own business and go back to sleep. But then I was just up reeling. I really was. He's a goofy dog.
He's like, am I keeping you awake? Like they get so close. They're like, yeah.
Mom.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, with today's principle too, we were having a brief conversation before we went live because we're talking about, I think we're talking about movement.
Yeah.
But that just kind of hit me there. What you were saying is that energy.
Yeah.
Right. The energy is movement. Movement can be energy. Movement doesn't have to just be in the form of that physical movement, but what can energetically move you, right? And inspire.
Sure.
So
even I was thinking about, so this is like bringing a super bare bones, but to sit in a car for 3.5 hours. So that is a totally different kind of force. So if you're sitting in your chair and you have computer work all day, and that's part of your, like, as soon as I get out of the car, I'm like, I've got to get out of this car and walk around the block, like get movement, because my body is not used to really sitting in that. So my matter needs more force, but also I was able to get adjusted while I was there on Friday morning. So I drove over Thursday and got adjusted. And then it's like, my system's kind of buzzing from like that stagnant position. And then I'm able to really release in so many different ways, but the adjustment was incredible after that. But also long hours sitting in a car or sitting in a seat if you're working long hours, like you guys have got to get adjusted. Have to.
That stagnancy. I mean, people don't realize that when you just do this.
Yeah.
So the muscles are tense.
Yeah.
That's for hours.
Yeah.
You basically have taken a sponge and you've squeezed the water out, or like the muscle, you're squeezing the blood flow. You're not moving, so it's not pulling blood flow in. And so, if you're at a computer all day, that's what you're doing. And then you tend to do this, and then you tend to do this.
Yeah. And this posture is a death posture. This is a death and illness posture. So we have to get up, get moving. One of the things I've been telling my patients a lot lately is when you go to stand up and squeeze the glutes and like activate the glutes. They're our biggest and strongest muscles of our entire body. And if we activate them in the back, we can start to unwind that sitting position. But it's the people that do this. So they go to stand up and then they walk like this and then eventually stand up. We become that. So if we can, I'll get my seat back here. If you can start to train your neurology as you're going to stand up every single time right now, as the twig bends, so grows the tree. So you can start to stand up, activate the glutes. There's something called glute amnesia right now. We basically walk around with our own seat cushions. I mean, that was definitely intentional. God made it that way.
Sleepy butt. That's what that means. Sleepy butt.
Sleepy butt. Yes. Sleepy butt. So yeah, if you can wake those suckers up, it's going to just help all the way up. And the stronger and straighter your spine is, the more heart forward you can be in your days, the better off all the way around we are. Apply to every day of the rest of our lives. So yeah, I wanted to just read principle number 13 while we're here.
Go ahead.
The function of matter. So the function of matter is to express force. So the function of our bodies is to literally move. Movement is life and living. And that's also how we heal too. So yeah. So what do you want to add to that?
Well, I think going
obsessed with movement.
I think Dr. Erica and I both, I think you all know us enough by now to understand. Yeah, we're like, just move, get up and move. And I can think of so many examples. And one of the things that I mentioned to Dr. Erica first is, so movement is life. She just said that. And yet movement is also longevity. So if you do not move, if you do not have flexibility, if you do not train your body for movement, I mean, I think back in the 80s, 90s, when I was, I got certified as a personal trainer, and the American College of Sports Medicine, which was like the foremost leader in teaching. And they were like, oh, never bend past 90 degrees on your knees, and never, like there was all these like never do movements. So contraindications. Why would we have a body with the ability to do that and not utilize those ranges?
Right.
So just super interesting to me how we were told all of these things and bought into them. I was a personal trainer, right? I got certified in that. So in order to be certified, I then had to teach my patients, oh, never bend past 90 degrees and all these crazy things. So I was at the gym yesterday and I saw a man, and he was I'd say he's probably in his mid 60s. I've seen him at the gym before, but I never, ever would have guessed he was doing air squats. So he had a wedge, and he had his heels on the wedge. So a little slant. So a couple of reasons for that. If you don't have real flexible ankles and you use a wedge, it will allow you to squat a little deeper, so you can get a little deeper into your hips and knees without being limited by your ankles. That would be me. My right ankle is a little stuck. I mean, I can get there, but then I got to lift my heel. So I work on my, before I do anything in the gym, I go and I squat all the way to the floor. I touch my butt and I stand up, and I probably do that 30 to 50 times. I then rock forward. I drop my knees. I rock back. I stand back up. So I do this thing. This guy would not have guessed. And he was going into this deep squat. I think he might have had maybe a 10-pound kettlebell, nothing heavy, nothing, just perfect form, deep, deep into his knees. And you could tell, though, that he probably has general stiffness anyway, like we all do, but he was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And that is where I think people lose it, where it's like, oh, that hurts if I do that, so I can't do that.
Right.
No, you need to do it.
Right. I was just talking to a patient this morning too. It reminds me, she's like, I just started walking. She's been working out. She's had a Peloton for over a year. She's always been working out. And she said, I have this thing going on right at the top of my hip. It really is like a bursitis. She said, when I Googled it, oh my goodness, it's called a runner's hip. And I'm like, a catch all for everything. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I said, okay, here's the thing. Our bodies are not always going to be 100% pain-free. You could take some pills and probably feel really good, but let that pain be your messenger. And 5 days is one thing. Clinically speaking, it's 30 days of the same. So 30 days of the same, because patient will be like, oh, I got adjusted. And then Friday I felt like this. And Saturday I felt like this. And then Sunday I did this. And I'm like, how are you today? How are you today? Let your body give you signals. How are you today? So just know that clinical significance is 30 days of the same. So let's say we start adjusting you and it's exactly the same 30 days from now. We really have something more to look into. That doesn't actually happen though, unless they already know something serious is going on, or they have a visceral issue or some, you know what I mean? Who knows? But 30 days is the clinical space. So if something like I have a little like head buzzing, or I have a little neck thing, or I got a shoulder thing, I worked out really hard yesterday, I got pain today. And it's like, give me 30 days of that. Otherwise, watch your body, listen to it, watch, get adjusted, get your water, get your rest, get your movement, all the things I always say, but watch your body and wait and keep doing the things that you know you need to do. And I don't know, I can't 100% guarantee that you're going to feel so much better, but you will. You just will.
There's always room. When you can stimulate the body in directions that it's not used to going, it is resilient. I mean, it really is energizing. And so that becomes, and then for you, I think mentally, right? It's like, if you start working on, okay, I can't bend down, I can't squat down. And I have a video that I've done. So, okay, so you use a chair. So now we do that. And then you get a lower wedge, and you start to work your body into that direction. Maybe you have some bands that you're able to hold on to so you can have some assistance. Yeah. There's ways to work into it, but if you don't work into it, you will continue to work out of it.
Yeah.
And as you progress, now this is also where people can get in that space of, oh, I've been doing it forever and it's not working. Well, how do you know until you
it's
stop?
Always working.
It's
always working.
Right.
And people will also say this, they're like, I don't know if it's working or not. It is.
It is. I know. I was going to make a joke with my trainer. I haven't made this joke yet, but I think I told you guys about how I had a couple of patients 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, like within the same day or a couple of days of each other. Both of them were just about 70 to 80% better. And I mean, really, when they came in, it was madness. And they both said, I think we've done great work. I'm just going to continue on my own to.
Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to continue on my own and see how it goes. Why would you do that? And so I was going to joke around with my trainer and go, hey, I think I'm like 80% to my goals. Yes. I'm just going to stop now and see how it goes. What?
Yeah, no.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. And the body works off of supply and demand, and really demand and supply reverse.
Yeah.
And so the more that you demand from it,
Thank you,
the
Kenny.
stronger you'll get. Yeah, bless you. The stronger you'll get, the more you can do, the more you're pushing the ticket with your body, the better off you're going to be. And when there's subluxation or misalignment along that superhighway, like sometimes people will be like, I've been going to yoga class for forever and ever, and sometimes yogis don't think that they need to be adjusted. I can tell you yogis need to be adjusted.
That drives me nuts when they say that.
Sometimes more than everybody else, because they're working their spine and bodies in so many ways. And if it's misaligned, it's having to work extra super hard. But they'll say something like, I've been doing yoga for 5 years, and I started coming in to get adjusted. And something that I've been trying to do for years just all of a sudden opened up for me. And I was able to blah, 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 whatever it is. And it's like, it's just because, so when this part of the body needs to contract, that side of it needs to relax. And the discoordination of movement happens because there's interference from the brain down through the information superhighway, which is our spine. And so we have discoordinated motion. So when you go to pick up a pencil on the floor, the front part of the body is supposed to contract. The back side is supposed to relax. If that's not doing it like it should, that's called discoordination of motion. And that's when you can throw your back out from just picking up a pencil. But it's also like what gets the runners, like all the athletes, all the Olympic athletes, the professional athletes, everybody is adding chiropractic. Like there's a chiropractor on all these teams now, because they're realizing the millimeters of seconds, the different movements, jive one way and the other. It's faster and more efficient because of the coordinated motion, because the brain's communicating properly. Apply to all things, and the body continues to open up a little bit more. Also, misalignments create stress hormones all the way through the body. So each adjustment decreases that too. And it just allows the force to move through the matter and create motion in our world.
It's amazing to me. That was very well said. And it's kind of like, is your information super highway beautifully paved?
Right.
Or are there potholes?
Like a Michigan road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is freaking hilarious, P squared. My PT told me yesterday that a patient told her she's been talking to her muscles. Her muscles feel better, so she doesn't need PT anymore. Well, okay. We got that going for her, right?
Yeah. Know what to say to that.
Kenny. Yeah, of course. I know. Yeah. Well, and I was also thinking too about, the whole anti-aging movement, and a lot of anti-aging today comes in the form of Botox. And, I would love to have these eyelids lifted up, right? They're not interfering with my vision, but I don't like the way they look. I mean, I got some wrinkles under here. I mean, would I look better if I did this? I don't know.
I did this and hold this down.
Maybe I'll just walk around like this for the rest of my life. But so many people are going and they're looking at anti-aging, and they're getting Botox, and they're getting boob lifts and facelifts and all of this. And I'm looking at them, and they're not exercising.
Right.
They're overweight. They have zero flexibility. Their skin looks horrible, which means they're not eating. They're not hydrating. They're not sleeping properly. There is no amount of that outside in approach that is going to give you a long life. And, when I grew up, if y'all remember back in the 80s, Jack LaLanne. And every day Jack LaLanne would come on, and my mom would get her chair because he did all that chair stuff, And I grew up with her exercising to Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
The week she died on a Sunday night. She had done 3 exercise classes that week. She was 86 years old, 87. I don't remember, 86, I think. But she just that's the life that you want to live. That is the legacy that she left. She was moving until the day she died.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, do you want that? Do you want, and I was thinking about this the other day too, is like, and I don't know where in longevity this comes from, but because I had an elderly patient, 87 years old, called new patient. And she sounded really old, right? Had that old lady voice, quiver to her voice. My mom never sounded like that. Like so I think that, again, it's just, how are you living your life? None of her brothers and sisters, they're all in their 80s and 90s. So, but movement, they all move. They all move their matter. They are all fit. None of them are having any kind of Botox or plastic surgery. It's aging gracefully, naturally. We're going to have wrinkles. It's going to be there, sadly, right? And I just have to ignore it when I see that. I'm like, I was on a podcast and the camera angle was going like this, and I was like, needed somebody. I hate it, but you know what? I'm not going to go have surgery. That's the thing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stretch more.
All right, and drink more water, right?
Flexibility look that much better to offset any of this,
right?
Yeah.
No, one of the things that you said, we had talked initially, movement is life, but you had just also followed that up with movement is longevity. And one thing to add to that is the athlete. So some people will say, oh, I needed a rest day. Maybe once a month we need a rest day. Other than that, or maybe that's a great question. Other than that, we should be moving our bodies the bare minimum of a 20-minute walk every single day. It's a great way to get things moving, get blood flowing. And I get the sleep question a lot too at my office. And I just had it yesterday. They said, what position's so ideal? What's the best way? And I'm like, this wraps right into movement during the day. Like, we're not supposed to lay one position all night long. We have, 306 movable joints in the body, and they are not happy, not moving. And I think as the years go by, and you can answer this too, Dr. Paula, but it's like, as the years go by, there is a lot more movement in general. But we also know the 4-year-old that gets in bed with their parents, they're moving all over the place. Like, it's normal human behavior to have movement. So whatever gets you the sleep is the most important. What would you answer to that?
Well, as far as kids go, I always say too, like, kids do gymnastics in the middle of the night. Anybody who's had kids sleeping with them, they're ridiculous. Like, you get kicked all night. My daughter and my 2 golden retrievers at the time are the reason I ended up getting a king size bed. Okay. Did not have a partner in my life. So it's like, I got a king size bed for the dogs and the kid. And then I put pillows down the middle so she couldn't kick me. But, and think about this when you do wake up, if I'm in one position too long sleeping, I'll wake up and my shoulder will be in serious pain because I've been in that position too long, or I've been laying on it too long, or your arm falls asleep. And so what do? You get up and you move into a different position, and the pain should go away. And I say should because it can be a sign that something deeper is going on, which means you need to get adjusted if you aren't already. But if just changing a position from being immobile for so long doesn't change the pain or the stiffness, think about that. You've got to get that checked out. You're probably carrying that kind of pain and discomfort into your day, and through lack of movement. And I fully agree. I'm a side sleeper, and I'm a pillow sleeper. So I'd love to know your insight on this too. Like, I am surrounded by pillows because I do have a bad shoulder. I injured it playing softball a million years ago. There's always a little, like, I have to think about it, but I'm like, there's always a little bit of something there. I'm totally fine. I can do everything that I want to do. I'm totally minimizing, by the way. We have patients who minimize.
Yeah. No,
as long as I don't have to throw a softball. But one of the things that I do, the reason that I have pillows all over is to support my different parts of my body. So when I turn, I have a pillow there, so my arm doesn't fall like this. There's a pillow in front of me, so my arm stays pretty much like relatively neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with my leg. If I'm on my side and I pull my leg forward, there's a pillow there so my hip doesn't fall and rotate my spine.
Mm-hmm.
So I love having a million pillows to surround and support me for my spine. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh. So if you knew my pillow situation, if you guys all could come to my room, which I would never invite all of you there, but so when I went to Toronto, it's a boyfriend that I'm hanging with, and he is just getting used to my sleep patterns. And so we're in his bed, and he literally turns to me, and I brought 2 pillows with me, and then I took 3 of his 4. He's got 1 pillow. And anyway, he's like, "Are you going to sleep with all 18 of those pillows?" I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
It's a cocoon.
It is.
Yes.
It's like a nest. And I tell patients that. So I'm a side sleeper as well. So I have a pillow here, obviously, that supports it from the bed. It's not too big and it's not too small.
And I have
right?
a tiny one here under my chin.
Yeah. And then I have one between my knees, but I actually take that one and I move it closer and have it sort of push into my belly and support my lumbar spine that way. So there's one there. There's another one on the opposite side. So when I flip over, it's already there because I
You don't have to drag it with you.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I have one propping up this upper shoulder so that that's not crunching down like this. And then what I also love, if I can make this happen, and sometimes I do, my dog will lay back to back with me. And so he kind of supports my back from the back. And if not, sometimes I'll actually start with a pillow pushing there. I mean, it's nuts. Now, I'm also a sensory disorder person. So I used to also have a weighted blanket on top of all of that. I had to train myself away from the weighted blanket just because when I would travel, I would have such a hard time going to sleep because it felt like I was going to just like lift off the bed because I wasn't weighted. But that's my sensory disorder. And I'm way better off getting adjusted, make sure I'm eating well, drink, all the things I tell you guys, because just getting around the world, finding sleep. And then sometimes when I wake up, I'm like, okay, Peabody, like, okay, we're going to try this again. Here we go. You ready? We're going to try this again. The pillow here, pillow here, pillow here, pillow here. Oh, and this I didn't tell you. There's I have a pillow that I sleep with on top of my head because I lived in Alaska for 3.5 years and it's light up there.
Yeah.
And sleep hygiene is a thing. It's really a thing. Look it up, figure out your sleep hygiene routines because I would sleep with this goose down pillow on my head. Well, then I got used to the pressure of that. Now he's like, you're buried too. Like once I'm sleeping, like my mouth is sticking out. That's all. Just my mouth. And when I climbed Kilimanjaro, I also had high altitude insomnia. So my body felt like it was working extra hard at night. And I didn't have that pillow. So I would tie a scarf really tight around my forehead. I'm telling you, I'm a totally acquired taste. I am an acquired taste. But I know sleep is so critical. So yeah, it's a whole mood over here.
I think once we've gone through the 33 principles, we need to have a whole episode on sleep.
Yes.
I think we really need to dive into that.
For sure. So yeah, movement is longevity. So even moving around at night. Yeah. Truly. I mean, you don't have to create, an alarm and your body's going to naturally wake you up when it's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then just shift and know that is okay and very normal.
And the other thing too, with a lot of my patients will say, I'm waking up in the middle of the night with my arms falling asleep. Mm-hmm. That can happen, like I said, if you are in one position for too long, like if you're cutting off the flow of the brachial plexus up here. But if it happens regularly, night after night, because what Dr. Erica and I both know is that when these people come to us and we start adjusting them, improving nerve flow and improving blood flow, that symptom goes away. Mm-hmm. So if it happens once in a blue moon, totally normal. But if that's something you're experiencing every single night, must get that checked by a chiropractor. You've got to get that corrected because what that means is that you already have too much pressure on your nervous system
Right.
and lack of flow, blood flow, nerve flow. And then when you lay down at night, now you're just like, you're at 50% and you lay down and now there's nothing left there. So
Right.
again, it is an alarm.
Yeah, it is. And then the nerves in the neck, just to talk a little bit more, the nerves in the neck and particularly the lower cervical spine. So this is our cervical spine, the neck, are the ones that go out to the arms. But we also have the brachial plexus. So if you look at this hole, like right at the top of the shoulder, that whole nerve, muscle, nerve and artery bundle, it's called the brachial plexus, critical to have that open and free. And yeah, chiropractor for that. Chiropractor
Well,
for
that's
everything.
with tight shoulders, right? So again, going back to what we talked about, if you're working on a computer all day or you're driving, all of this gets tense and tight, and then my bra, sorry. I guess it's no big deal. And then it presses, these muscles press down and they compress. The brachial plexus goes under your collarbone.
Yeah.
And so the tighter you compress onto the collarbone, whether muscles, heavy bags, luggage, babies, purses, anything like that, you're continuing to compress that and push, like, again, go back to the sponge, squeezing that blood flow out and not allowing it to breathe.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
That brachial. Yep. Glad we answered that for you, P squared.
The brachial plexus. That's it. You got it, sister.
Yeah.
You got it. So yeah, I mean, these conversations just go on and on and on. And I'm glad that we sort of stick to this time frame, because as you can tell, you guys, it's like constant and continuous. And we're so happy to be able to just bring this, just a little bit of dialogue into your week. So you can stop for a moment, check in, make sure you're not doing Monday, Friday, and not taking a moment to be conscientious about your health in the middle of it. So,
yeah. And if you are someone who is opting for Botox, plastic surgery, if you're going that route and you have not addressed your sleep, your food, your hydration, and your movement, then again, you're just going to look really good dying sooner. Like that's just kind of right.
And to top that off, if you're going into the medical doctor and they're not asking you about diet, rest, water, they're not asking you about that stuff before they just throw something at you.
Yeah. Go find a new doctor.
It's negligence. It really is. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like we always say that, people are like, why didn't my medical doctor tell me about that? And oftentimes we'll say, well, they just don't know. It's not a tool in their toolbox. But I'm sorry, shame on anyone for opting to give you medication before they address your food habits and your sleep. And again, your movement.
I still have this list sitting right here. I don't know if you can see it.
What is that?
That medication list that one.
Oh, gosh.
That's 80.
Yeah.
5 years old.
Did she come back?
Oh yeah, she's gonna here.
Okay. Well, we'll need an update on her.
I know, and I'll give you one because
put that on our list for next week.
Yeah, I will, because there's no way to feel good on all this. You can never feel good on all this.
No.
And there's a little bit of update. I'll put it on my list right here.
Yeah, make sure we don't forget that, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
So it is 1:45. We hit up a bump to our time. So do you want to recap number 13?
Yes, number 13.
Some foreshadowing of 14.
Perfect. So the function of matter is to express force. So your matter's your body. The function of it is movement. Get after it. Got it? Okay.
Move.
Okay. Number 14, universal life. Force is manifested by motion in matter. All matter has motion. Therefore, there is universal life in all matter. That's going to be a big one.
I can't wait for that one.
It's a really good one.
You guys are like, it sounds like you talk about the same thing every week. Yeah, we kind
of. It does. It's slightly different. It's only because we've been deeply, deeply ingrained and entrenched in this work for so long. And so we're just breaking it down. Actually, we're just using it for a point to, the principle is the prompt. It's just really a prompt. But as we're going through this, you can see how deeply, deeply, deeply rooted chiropractic is in body awareness, function, life. Exactly. Lumba.
Lumba. That's hilarious.
Anyway, super great to see all you guys. Thank you for joining. Love you so much.
Thanks again, you guys. Don't forget to like this and share it. We, as always, appreciate you being here, helping us grow. And we'll see you on the next one. Also see you Sunday for Sunday Night Live. And we'll see you next week for Chiropractic is Sexy, number 14. All right. See you guys. Have a great week.